Although the majority of people who have depression do not die by suicide, having major depression does increase suicide risk compared to people without depression. So we're moving into this area of suicide now. It's a, not a very good thing to talk about, but a very important thing to talk about because in Singapore, it is, the statistics for suicide among those aged between 10 and 19 has risen from 4.0 per 100,000 in 2019 to 5.5 per 100,000 in 2020. All right. So, in other words, it is increasing. And just think about it. It's between ages of 10 and 19. Personally, my experience of suicide was in primary six when my best friend committed suicide.
Mm.
Right. So that was like 12 years old. But today we're talking about a 10-year-old.
Mm.
Wow. And I'm sure no one wakes up one day and decides to kill themselves, right? Rather, they would be having thoughts about taking their own lives for a period of time. And so this is called suicide ideation. What can parents do, when their children are having suicidal ideations? How do you tell in the first place? And what can parents do?
Yeah, for a child who's having suicidal ideation, you can't really outwardly tell that. It's not very clear. Yeah. Maybe I'll say more about like what can a parent do when they see that or they realize that a child might have suicidal ideation. And this could be something that a parent might know from the child's friends, the child's teacher, or from social media. Yeah. So I think like once a parent knows that your child has suicidal ideation, it will be important, as what I've mentioned before, to really convey to them that you are here to support them. Acknowledge their struggles and try as much as possible to have conversations with them about the nature of their suicidal ideation, like what is leading up to it. And even if they have any plans or considerations about how they are going to attempt suicide. Yeah, so understand that having such conversations can be very worrying for the parent, but I think like the more information you know, as much as the child is open to share with you, then the more you know, the more you are able to help them. Yeah. So I think another thing that would be important, like to do is think with your child, if you know that this is the problem, the concern that they have that's leading to their suicidal ideation, try to think about alternative solution to these problems with them. Yeah, and also as much as possible, try and provide a safe environment for your child by keeping away items that could potentially be used by your child to attempt suicide. And that could involve like knives, pen knives, as well as medication. Yeah. So medication like Panadol, if you overdose on it, that's also quite dangerous because it can cause liver damage. Yeah. So however, if you do realize, if a parent do realize that your child is actually seem to be voicing suicidal ideation more frequently, maybe on social media or from what they have heard from other people, or you feel like the child is very disconnected from the family and friends. The child tells you that I have very little purpose in living, and they start to give away their belongings. So some of this could be signs that your child's likelihood of attempting suicide is higher. And that is indeed very worrying. And at this point, I think it would be important for a parent to actually seek support from mental health professionals. That could involve a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Yeah, so Counselling and Care Centre, we do have psychological assessment service to assess if your child is at risk of depression, or if the suicidal ideation is very severe. We do have an assessment service to actually assess that if parents are concerned, and we also have therapists who are able to provide support to your children if you see that they might potentially be depressed or have suicidal ideation. So that I think what I believe Park Sang said, there will be a link that's maybe provided maybe at this post, so that for parents who are interested to know more about our services, then they could access that through the link.